Welcome back, everybody, to the best time of the year. Some would say the best sports playoff tournament. March Madness is here. We have our predictions. We've hit on two of the last four champions, predicting a 4 seed to win 2 years ago with UConn. Last year, we're not going to talk about what we said. This year's a new year. Let's run right into it. We are going to start with the team we predicted to win the championship last season. The Auburn Tigers, the number one overall seed, even though they're limping into the tournament, the number one seed in the South region. Ryan, who do we have coming out of this bracket?
Let's just start with the games. I'm gonna give me Auburn. I mean, they're not playing Yale this year, so that's the spin zone here. Is they're not playing Yale, and Chad Baker-Mazar can't do a stupid tech to completely fuck over everybody's bracket. But give me Auburn and give me them to go far. Louisville and Creighton is better games in the tournament. Creighton's big thing is they've beaten UConn twice. That doesn't mean much this year. Give me Louisville. They're the only team in the ACC. They're one of the few ACC teams worth their shit. So after that, Michigan and UC San Diego. Michigan is kind of just two guys, but they're definitely better than UC San Diego, who just ran through the Big West tournament as a little overseeded here. We were saying that about Auburn. Yale is in their bracket. They're just not playing Auburn this round, and they're playing A&M. And A&M's been playing real hot lately, so give me them over Yale. Yale's a pretty good program, but the best in a pretty mediocre conference in the Ivy League. Ole Miss and San Diego State or North Carolina. This is the side of the bracket I'm okay with going a little more chalk. Give me Ole Miss. It doesn't matter who they play. North Carolina shouldn't be in the tournament. Iowa State is, as you might have said earlier with like Auburn, they're limping into the tournament. If there's any team to be upset, it'd be them. I don't think they will. I think they're just good enough to avoid a major upset like this. So give me Iowa State to take down Lipscomb. Marquette, New Mexico, the other best game of the first round in this side of the bracket. Marquette was real hot early. They've completely just crashed and burned their way into the tournament. Give me New Mexico. Really, really a little boned on their seating there. And then Michigan State, Brian's not even worth talking about. Just give me Michigan State. Easy. Tom Izzo.
You mentioned Auburn making a deep run. I'm assuming you have them making it to the Sweet 16.
Easy. ACC isn't very good. Louisville is not a bad team, but they play in a pretty weak league. Give Michigan again. Michigan is good enough to make the second weekend, but no further. You can give me Ole Miss. They fought their way. They have some good wins on the schedule. They've had some bad losses. They just played a really competitive league, and that's going to show here in this next round. They're a Sweet 16 team. And then again, kind of like the last round, New Mexico is a little fucked in their seeding, should be a little higher than 10 seed, but it's Michigan State. They're going to play ugly, mucking up basketball, and they're going to completely suffocate New Mexico. Moving on to Sweet 16. So this is a pretty chalky side of the bracket, but for a reason. A lot of the teams that are the higher seeds are there for a reason.
Okay, Tom Izzo back in the Sweet 16. Let's head back up to the number one team, Auburn. Will they beat Michigan?
Yep. There's not much to say. They're a more complete team. Michigan's got two great guys. Dustin Wolf's great, but they don't have a full team, and that's why Auburn moves on. Below that, Ole Miss, Michigan State. I keep saying it. This is the chalky side of the bracket after looking at it. So getting Michigan State. There's always one side of the bracket that usually has, one, if not both, of the top four seeds into the Elite Eight. And that's where it is here. And then finally, this is as much as everyone's going to say, oh, they've lost 3 or 4. This team's built for March. The SEC tournament doesn't mean much to a team, especially the number one overall seed. I'm going with it again, even after last year, and Yale fucked me. I'm willing to bet on again after watching this team. This is head and shoulders one of the best teams in the country, and the other one is coming up on the next side of the bracket.
Okay, so Auburn losing in round one just a year ago makes up for it, back in the Final Four in your eyes. Let's head down to Florida's region. They won the SEC over a team Auburn was projected to win the SEC tournament. They didn't get it done. Florida is the number one seed down here in the West region. How do we see this one playing out?
I just won 16. You've only seen it twice for a reason. Give me Florida. Walter Clayton's the man. They've got it there. They a lot of teams playing in Fuego. This is really the team. They've beaten some high quality talent in the SEC tournament. They'll rail up against one of UConn or Oklahoma, and UConn. Everyone's saying, oh, they're the dangerous 8 seed you don't want to see. There's a reason of the 8 seed. There's a reason they're at the back of the rankings or unranked. They're going to win this game against Oklahoma, but they just lost too much in these past 2 years. Memphis, Colorado State. There's always a 12-5. Usually there's always a higher seed. I'm flirting back and forth with this and the 12-5 in the East. I'm going to actually go Colorado State here, but you can't be a team I trust very much if you're getting challenged by Tulane. in your
Right.
conference tournament. You just can't. That's a local spin on it, but Maryland, Grand Canyon. Maryland is a dark horse, at least on my betting futures, to go to the Final Four. But that is purely because their starting five is one of the best starting fives in the country. They have no bench behind it. If their bench can score at least 10 points, they're going to go pretty far in this tournament. 10 points per game. They're going to beat Grand Canyon with ease. Drake, Missouri. I don't understand love Missouri. I get and let me go back. I understand why they got this high of a seed. They've got some high quality wins. They beat Alabama, I believe they beat Tennessee. Drake is a really good team, and like last year of their conference made Indiana State, they're getting boned because of their conference. Give me Drake. This is the side of the bracket that I can see some double digit seeds making a run because a lot of the double digit seeds, including Grand Canyon, pretty good.
Missouri winless in the SEC just a year ago, if I'm not mistaken. So pretty impressive just to make it to the tournament.
I don't love them. But a great turnaround by their coach. I think he's going to finally be a consistent winner, but it's not going to be this year. Drake's a pretty good squad. Texas Tech, UNC Williamson. I'm going to put it. I know if anyone watches last year remembers, I was in love Texas Tech here and Final Four. So take this pick with a grain of salt, but Texas Tech is going to take care of business here against UNC Wilmington. Kansas, Arkansas is the classic game in the bracket that these guys put there for ratings. Let's put two names against each other, Bill Self and John Calipari. I don't understand why Kansas 7 seed. They are not a great team. I don't love them. They're just a bunch of pieces that don't mix. Give me Arkansas, another double-digit seed taking down here. 7-10 is not as big of an upset as people think, but give me Arkansas to squeeze one out here. This is the side of the bracket that's chaos. St. John's on talking about. Give me and back to the take on. This is the corner of the bracket. You've got names, you've got programs, yada yada yada, and that's why they matched them up together. They want Cal versus Patino or Cal versus South in the second round.
Okay, no love for Hunter Dickinson and the boys. Let's head back up to the number 1 seed in the West, Florida versus UConn. What a matchup this would be for the defending champions. Will they make it to the second weekend?
I think so. This is a fantastic game. If this happens, this will be probably, based on this hypothetical bracket, the best game of the second round. Walter Clayton and the boys are going to be a little too much for a UConn team that, relatively speaking, is kind of impressive. They're even an 8 seed because they lost a lot from their championship teams. Dan Hurley is not making it to the Sweet 16. I could be very wrong, but love Florida. Beyond that, give me a Maryland team that's starting five is a lot better than Colorado State. Colorado State spends all their juice just getting to the second round. Beyond that, Drake, Texas Tech. I know I'm doing it again. I promise. Based on the bottom side of the bracket, it's going to stop at the Sweet 16. But give me Texas Tech. They're getting a lot of sneaky love like they were last year. To make a deep run, and this is a consistent program. They thought they were going to dead for Chris Beard, but give me Texas Tech. They built a good program. This one isn't we're talking about. It's Rick Pitino versus John Calipari, the rivalry that has always been there. This one's kind of a non-notable chapter in that rivalry. Give me St. John's. This team is fire. This team sucks at shooting the three, but they don't shoot the three a lot, and they won't need to beat Arkansas. Florida, they're a good team. This is where Maryland lack of starting five really comes to bite them in the behind. If you don't have that much of a bench and you can't go on your bench to score you some needed points, it's going to bite you somewhere. This is where it happens. Give me St. John's. Again, I've negotiated against myself a little bit on what they don't do well with their 3-point shooting. But this is a team that loves their mid-range shooting. They play physical. They play tough. You've got one of, if not the greatest coach in college basketball, Rick Pitino, to the Elite Eight. Just love St. John's.
Really. Does his run end in the Elite Eight, or is he able to make it to the Final Four?
In the Final Four, man. Give me them to get to the Final Four. I don't know how far they go beyond that with only 2 games left, but I love a Final Four appearance from St. John's. This is a great team. Rick Pitino once again proving he's still got it, even at 70, 71, whatever he is.
Okay, so Auburn, St. John's, the left side of our bracket is finished. Let's head down to the Midwest, where Houston is the number 1 seed. I'm not going to play around with Houston losing here as a 1 seed. Give me them. Gonzaga, Georgia, battle of the Bulldogs. Gonzaga was a favorite in a lot of people's opinions to make the Final Four preseason. Underwhelming year, but they do win their conference tournament, getting back over St. Mary's. I'll take Gonzaga in that offense. I think too efficient. I'll take them to win.
A little overseeded.
Clemson and McNeese, the Wade Brigade back in the tournament. Last year, I was on McNeese to win well over their heads, losing big time to Gonzaga. I think they have a much better chance to win this year against Clemson, but I still think that team's too good. Clemson, let's not forget, had a decent run last year in the tournament. I think McNeese just not going to get it done here. Now, Purdue and High Point. I mean,
Are they Purdue?
all eyes are going to be on the 7-footer. Zach Edey? No, not Zach Edey. Justin Bodo. I think that is going to be the play here. Purdue had their chance with Zach Edey last year. Now in the NBA with the Memphis Grizzlies. I think High Point can take down Purdue. Purdue is known for choking early in the tournament. They're due to choke after last season's run. I will go with High Point to upset the Purdue Boilermakers, who have lost, I believe, 6 of the last 9 games, and High Point's, I think, won 14 straight. So a hot team running into a cold team, maybe at the wrong moment. Give me High Point in the upset in round 1. Moving on to Illinois, there's always an 11 seed that makes it to the second weekend. It just happens every year. These playing teams, they get that extra game, they get that chemistry in the tournament. I think this could be right here, Texas or Xavier, whoever wins this matchup. I think they could beat Illinois. We'll see how they face. I think Kentucky should be able to play well here. Beat Troy. I don't envision an upset there. UCLA and Utah State. I picked Utah State to win their conference tournament. Did not happen. I think that offense is very efficient, but I think the defense might get exposed later on in the tournament. But right here in the first round, I think they'll be good enough to get past UCLA. And let's not mess around with Tennessee. Ziegler, he should be good enough to beat a 15 seed.
Tennessee team, if you've ever seen one, they are mucking up. Let's play gross. Let's win.
Good defense. Don't have Dalton Connect anymore, so that might be a problem this year, but we'll see. Houston over Gonzaga. This would be a good matchup. I mean, Gonzaga, a true blue blood in college basketball. Houston looking to get there. Back-to-back number 1 seeds for them. Great offense versus great defense. I'm going to lean great defense to prevail here. Houston over Gonzaga. I believe Gonzaga's made the second weekend a crazy, like their consecutive streak of making the second weekend is ridiculous, but I think it ends this year dropping to Houston. I'm going to take Clemson over High Point. I'm not going to pick High Point to make it to the Sweet 16. I'll take them over Purdue, not over Clemson. As I alluded to earlier, an 11 seed, I think the winner of this play-in match could be Kentucky. They have played pretty well this year. Their top 25 record is impressive, but the defense is lackluster at times. Very good offensively, but I just think you got to be able to play defense to advance in March. They've been on a cold streak as of late. I don't think they've made the Sweet 16 since 2019, maybe something around there. And I don't think it's happening this year. I think they got to get better defensively if they want to make a strong push for the Final Four. Give me a play-in team to make it, as it seems like they do once a year. One of these play-in tournament teams make it to the second weekend. And then Utah State, I mean, the defense just not going to hold up against what Tennessee brings on that end. So I'll take Tennessee pretty easily in that one. Houston, Clemson. I mean, Houston might be the best defensive team in the country.
Suffocating like a python. And I think Kelvin Sampson, their coach, who's been at it forever, I think this is his best team in a while besides the COVID year in 2021. So this is a great team.
Sampson's had them right on the edge of a national championship for a number of years now. I don't think it's going to end here to Clemson.
Clemson got screwed. They're a great team, but they got into a tough bracket.
And I'm not going to pick an 11 seed to make it to the Elite Eight. I'll go Tennessee, setting up a 1-2 matchup where I'm going to go with the number 1 seed. Tennessee, it just seems like they always find a way to crumble in March. They weren't going to win last year with Dalton Connect. It's going to be hard to convince me that this year they can piece it together. Another impressive year for them defensively, but
which team is going to muck it up more? Which team is going to be a lot more aggressive? And I love your Houston pick because I think they're also going to they're just better than Tennessee on that end. That's their mantra. Tennessee's mantra last year was offense with Dalton Connect and the gang, but I think this is a Houston side of the bracket.
All right, so 3 of our final 4 teams have punched their ticket. Let's head up to the last region here. Duke in the East region as the number 1 seed. How do we see this one playing out?
It's Duke. It's easy. The real action on whether America or Mount St. Mary's win might be a nice game to gamble on. That's about it. Duke, just don't play around with that one. Mississippi State Baylor is another sneaky good game in the first round. I know I've said that for a few games now, but I'm looking at this side of the bracket, and it's got some of the juiciest stuff beyond the obvious Patino, Cal, and Bill Self corner of the bracket. Give me Mississippi State, as they are. There seem to be scenes of cloned each other, a muck it up defensive ball. That's Mississippi State to a certain extent. They've got enough over Baylor, who's really just banking on some great early wins in the season. Oregon Liberty, another one just not going to bother to play with. Give me Oregon. Arizona Akron, same thing. Arizona definitely a big time March choker. Tommy Floyd, I believe his last name is. This is not where they choke. Not, but they. And this isn't even his best team in a while, but they're not going to mess much with Akron, who is not a bad ball club. BYU VCU is, it's two names that you might know a little bit if you watch sports. If you don't, that's not super knowledgeable, but two high quality squads. BYU getting in the 6th seed purely because of their affiliation. They can only play on Thursdays and Saturdays. Give me VCU. I'm trying to, can't go, too crazy with the double digit upsets, but this is a VCU team that definitely is hurt because of the conference they play in. They definitely could have been a little higher if they played in a higher quality conference. Wisconsin, Montana, another one just not even worth talking about. Wisconsin absolutely has evolved into an offensive juggernaut of sorts. They get done against Montana and the Grizz. St. Mary's, Vanderbilt, just another great game. Another two teams that really have earned where they are. Vanderbilt sneaky did well in a conference full of juggernauts. We'll not talk about a bunch, but giving St. Mary's. The Alabama is a team that I'm stealing this from Mark Titus as just a formulaic ass team that just shoots threes and gets to the rim. It's going to be enough against Rob Morris, but I absolutely despise this kind of team. And I believed in last year and it screwed me, so I won't believe in it again. What I said earlier about Auburn, head and shoulders, the best team in this tournament, Duke is the other team. It's super obvious. This is like 2021 where you had two teams, Baylor and Gonzaga. They were better than everybody else, and they met the championship game for a reason. Give me Duke here to get to the Sweet 16 without much of a thought against Mississippi State.
Of Cooper Flagg's injury status?
Not at all. Him that even the weaker ACC that they were okay. This team still, it's one of the highest rated KenPom teams in a very long time for a reason, with or without Cooper Flagg. And then beyond that, Oregon, Arizona will be a nice former Pac-12 rematch. This is going to be, the one that a lot of people are like, I don't know what the biggest 50-50 matchup in the second round. Given the Arizona Wildcats purely on the coaching experience, but two great coaches, Tommy Floyd and Dana Altman. I know Dana Altman did make a Final Four a million years ago, but give me Arizona, just a little more talented, but this is really the 50-50 that you could really go either way. BC, Wisconsin to move on. This is the best team, at least offensively, in years. If we're talking about these muck-it-up defensive teams, that was Wisconsin's identity in football and basketball. It was disgusting, and they finally evolved, and that has earned them a trip to the Sweet 16. Beyond that, Alabama, Mount St. Mary's, again, formulaic. Grant Nelson's injury does change a lot of things for the Crimson Tide. Really didn't love go deep, but now Grant Nelson and the injury, they really, if they get to the, I think, Sweet 16, which I think they will get to. If they had even a remotely stronger 7 seed on the south side of the bracket, I don't think they'd get out of the round of 32, even if Grant Nelson comes back. A knee injury is not something you recover from within a week. Going back up to the top, Duke, Arizona. Duke comfortably again. I'm not worried about them. Wisconsin, Alabama. Give me the Wisconsin Badgers. Again, I'm sinking into the tea too much. I didn't love them, but then they went on a nice Big Ten tournament run to the championship game, and I think probably should have won that game. Really, Michigan just outlasted them. But they definitely go into the Elite Eight, but they run into the juggernaut that is the Duke Blue Devils. And by that point, even if the injury is a pretty severe with an ankle, which is not a high ankle sprain, so it shouldn't be that long, Cooper Flagg will be back, and Cooper Flagg will take this team to the Final Four. Give me the Duke Blue Devils to move on and get out of the East region to the Final Four.
Okay, everybody is set in the Final Four. Auburn, St. John's, Duke, and Houston are our 4 final teams. What a Final Four this would end up and shape up to be if this were to happen. Start on here with Auburn and St. John's. Do you see an upset here? Does St. John's have it up their sleeve to get this done and make it to the national championship?
I know I did it last year. I didn't love them as much as I love this team. I'm kind of tipping my hand here. I tipped it earlier. This is a tournament where you've got two teams head and shoulders above. I don't care how they finish the season. Duke winning the ACC. Auburn kind of crashing out in Nashville at the SEC tournament. Give me the Auburn Tigers. These are the 2 highest rated KenPom teams in a very long time, and they're just better than everybody else. So I tip my hand there for the other game, but I love it.
Okay, and on the other side, maybe the 2 best defensive teams in the country, Duke and Houston. Cooper Flagg plays extremely great defense. I personally would have Houston winning this game. Do you agree with that?
Not at all. I know I said this is one of Kelvin Sampson's better teams, just as good as the COVID team, I believe, in 2020. But in that same tournament, you had 2 of the best teams at that point in a very long time. Gonzaga and Baylor, who means for a reason they were head and shoulders above everybody else. I would personally pick the Blue Devils, but I do like the variance. Just give a little bit of let's get something different than what everyone thinks is going to happen. I guess.
All
But
right, I would be more than happy to see Duke make it to the national championship, but we will go with Houston just to shake it up. But Auburn Tigers, Houston Cougars, two Southern teams in the national championship. Auburn was our favorite to win last year, didn't end up happening. Do they have a Purdue-like comeback in them where they make a run to the national championship and potentially win it, unlike what Purdue was able to do after a underwhelming performance the year prior?
don't. I know I said head and shoulders better, but if we're gonna go with Houston as the pick, this is tipping my hand. I love Duke to win a national championship, especially with what they've got and one of the best players we've seen in years in Cooper Flag. So if we're not going to have them in there, Houston first to make the upset over the Auburn Tigers. We can, as I keep saying, we can all go, oh, these teams are better, but this is March Madness. So I will go a little bit against my logic here to, enjoy the madness because, again, we've got some double-digit upsets. We've got some other crazy things happening because that's how it is. This is a complete crapshoot. So Auburn and Duke could not make it to the second. It's part of March Madness.
Okay, so we have finalized Houston as our national championship. So as we hinted at, they will probably be out by the Sweet 16, losing to Gonzaga. But that's going to do it here. We predict the Houston Cougars to win the national championship. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys next week with another episode of the Fantasy Birds.